What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a very late afternoon. I guess it's yeah, not even the afternoon anymore. Maybe on the west coast of the United States and maybe back in Hawaii or whatever. But yeah, I just got super swamped with work and other adulting responsibilities. Again, I wouldn't be hosting a Monday night stream called Masculine Mondays if I didn't try to reciprocate masculinity myself. So, sometimes you just got to be a bit of a protector, a bit of a good loving male figure. So, but I'm here. And I appreciate people waiting and coming back. Y'all, I was reading y'all's chats. Um uh so not sure who's here left or who's left. I know that there's other people streaming and whatnot. Um and it's not so much about that. There are things that I wanted to do this stream 2 weeks ago. Last week I was out with family, and then the week before that is kind of what I wanted to do as a prelude to the birthday weekend. Because I think in some cases, when you get older, there's more things that mean more. There are things that you're more aware of, and whether you call it adulting or not is just one of those things where I feel like things become more apparent. And conversely, when I was younger, and say when I was actually maybe 21 in my 20s, life wasn't so fast. Things didn't move nearly as quick as they do now. And not to say that the grind wasn't there. I'd say at that time of my life, I was definitely pursuing, finishing college and, aspiring to be a rock star. And, I say I got there, but I definitely, went on tour quite a bit. Got to play, festivals, recorded some albums, stuff like that. But, and I think about when you're a young man and getting to be older, things that are expected of you, of us men out there, to act a certain way, and just even talking beyond maturity, because you know depending on the situation, some men learn quicker than others. Some make the same mistakes again. Sometimes there are things that just aren't, or I should say, maybe there are life lessons that people learn later on in life. How to deal with like losses, losing friends, family members, maybe even a pet. What it means to go through tough relationships, losing jobs, just being in situations that y- you know tear down men, or on the outside men can seem rough and tough, but in the inside, and not just so much about what's going on in here, but what's going on in here, right? And we all know that the best theme of the month of June is men's mental health awareness. And again, this is not something that really gets talked a lot about. You don't see these organizations, these companies, especially in the sports world, going, "Hey, we have the most predominant sports in America with the NFL, the NHL, the MLB, the NBA. I guess we could probably throw golf and the MLS in there as well, but you know, most of men's sports are closely followed by a lot of the population, even outside the United States. And yet you don't really see a lot of these sports going, you know what? These are the real money makers. We pay them a lot of money. But who knows if they're going through stuff. We've seen things before, in sports where men have to take a leave of absence. I'm pretty sure it's happened at least once in every major sport. I know it's happened in hockey, because that is the sport I follow the most, and am very very big advocate for, having played myself through the number of years. I know it's happened in football, in basketball. I'm not sure it's ever happened in baseball, but you know we're all human, and I think even for people that are online, and not to go down a rabbit hole, but there are definitely people content creators, streamers that have had mental issues. And if you maybe think about some recent events this year, if you follow a lot of the pop culture stuff, you kind of know who I'm referring to. That might have a caffeinated brand, if you catch my drift here. So and basically what I did and had thought about is, I took some sort of notes and jotted down ideas and questions that I not only would have asked myself, but ask other people out there. And this isn't just limited to, obviously, to men, but it's yeah, exactly. To mean a quarter pounder with cheese. Um, and I agree. There's no media of men's mental health awareness, which is just, it's bonkers. It really is, and I think there's this pressure that gets put on men to have and deal with this expectation of weight to handle things. And, so I did some research and try to get some sort of some facts, but appreciate everyone watching. Bootzilla, good to see you, man. Ronnie, good to see you as well. Anthony, Jax, thanks for hanging out last night as well. Waylon, good to see you, brother. Abe, good to see you as well. Going through it right now, mate. Just lost a close family member, and I'm in pieces. Dude, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. He suffered in silence, and now he's not here, and I already miss him. Hey, man. If I had a drink, I have a Celsius, unfortunately, but here's to your family member, and my condolences to you, brother. I know it's tough. It's never easy. So I hope you and your family can, everyone grieves in their own way, of course, right? So I hope you guys can find peace in whichever way that comes, and comfort, So, Waylon, okay, dude, I'll catch you later, brother. If I don't see you this weekend, definitely for Monday night for Josie Wales. Yo, what's going on, Ronan? How you doing, brother? Yeah, I mean, it's bonkers that there's not a lot of media coverage, and I think too, and one of the things I was thinking about, and not that every live stream that I do it has to be about masculinity, but just thinking about what men have to deal with, this expectation, this burden, and then sometimes, and I've heard it before, where it's like, oh well, yeah, toxic masculinity, that's what's wrong with men, so we blame the masculinity, that's why men have mental issues, and I think that's so far from the truth. And I think, again, if there's anything that is framed from the media, that's one of the things that they always point to, and they always think, oh well, men need to talk about mental health, and it's like, I think what they really mean is men need to become less masculine, and I think that's been one of these pressing events that have happened in the last 6 years or so. I mean, I'd say I don't really think it happened a lot pre-COVID, but it's definitely happened a lot post-COVID. And I definitely think that, again, and part of the reason why we do Masculine Mondays is it's like, this weak-minded culture blaming masculinity for being the problem of everything. And it's like, you guys don't understand what masculinity actually means, or what it means for men to be masculine, and why the world needs men, period, but it needs masculine men. Why wives need masculine men in their life, not just for protection, but for plenty other masculine traits as well. And I think in terms of when we think about mental health and we think about masculinity, it's not so much that like we deny any sort of pain that we may be going through. And I think what Abe mentioned, his comment is a perfect example. Like, if he didn't outright say that to someone, whether it was, say, me asking, and I always try to do this. I always try to make a conscious effort, and I want to say I wish more guys did this. And it's not the sappiness, right? It's not like, no offense to the chicks out there, but like chicks, We need to, get our, go to the spa and get our nails done and gossip and ask how things are like. We don't, obviously guys don't do that. If it's anything, it's like we would maybe go to a bar or like something that is more manly, right? Throw some sports on, something like that. And the conversation is very, you know, very simple, very plain, very short, even to a certain extent. And that's, again, not to kind of go into um, Masters of the Universe with He-Man, but that was a point in the movie where, what's his face, Man at Arms was talking to Adam, and it was like, you could talk to me, but like, if you need me to like kind of punch you in the arm or like beat you up, like you want to arm wrestle, like we could totally do that instead. Make sure you're okay, but like, if you're good, you're good. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm good. Okay, good. Now we can get back to like, the manly stuff. Beans, how you doing? I know you're not at work now, so I apologize for the late stream, but what's up, Radman? How you doing? Masculinity is why women can be comfortable enough to complain about it. Yeah, that's a good point. I think the media needs men to become subservient to society's benefit. And they actually don't really care about men. Yeah, I would agree. I don't think anymore. I definitely think society at one point in time and for a length of time cared about men. But now that ship has sailed, it's gone down the drain, it's been blown up, right? And yeah, they want men weaker in the body and in the mind, 100%. And yeah, I mean, I would definitely say like the mind is more important. Just go shoot something. And, I mean, Davina, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something that I do want to talk about at some point. Because when we think about what we're going through, right, and it's so much like, I think we've all been in situations where we're going through something. Men are going through something, and again, most of the time, us, I say real men, but most men will just say, and if someone asks like, "How you doing?" Like, oh, I'm good, and we don't, and it's not so much we're pretending to be fine, but it's more so we're not trying to say I don't need anyone either. It's like there are differences between burying something and just like there's a funny skit from Sebastian Maniscalco, Italian comedian from I forgot what year, it's from several years ago. But he's talking about you're in being married and being a man and just oh, you got your feelings or you're feeling something and you just like shove that shit way down and it never gets brought up. But then when your wife or significant other is like, honey, why are you acting like this? Is there something wrong? And it's like, no, there's nothing wrong. I'm okay. But meanwhile, there's actually like a bunch of shit going through our minds, right? But it's like in some cases, if there's a lot of pressure, like anything, there's a breaking point. How does it come out? Does it come out in anger, by isolation, some sort of addiction, right? Are we resentful to people or a thing? Are we bitter? Do we cause our own self-destruction, or do we kind of just go into this severe depression and like pit of despair because we don't know how to get out of it? And I do think that based on men being silent, it's not so much that we're trying to not be strong, but I think sometimes in the quietness that we have, this is where we can find wisdom. And it's whether it's we're thinking about things within ourselves or talking, maybe we are asking someone, right? And I think much like we've talked about in certain movies where you see a character who's very quiet and it's sort of like this restraint that we have. But I do think that silence can also become a prison where we're contained and we're trapped in this prison because something is keeping us there, something that we've gone through and something that we're just, I would say a victim to, but we're definitely handcuffed to something, and it's like we need to break out of that. And I think to your point, Davina, where you're saying how just go shoot something. it's like, what do we have as men, as guys, to kind of do something that allows us some freedom, some solace, not so much an escapism, but how do we deal with it? And and there's a couple good things that like I myself have done, I myself have practiced. And not everything is going to be with everyone. It's like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go to the driving range. I'm just gonna go shoot some tee off some golf balls, right? Or hey, I am going to go to the range. Bring my my firearms and as much ammo as I need, and we'll just shoot some targets, right? Uh, Maybe it's going to the gym, right? I mean, that has been a staple in my life that I cannot tell you guys how pivotal it is to like and I know more, Arnold's talked about the mind to muscle like connection, but like when you're thinking about your body in that moment, and me, like I will put on my headphones or my earbuds and I will blast metal, and that is sometimes the only thing that quiets my mind is just hearing someone scream in my head. And I listen to other music, but metal, I could fall asleep to metal. I love metal so much. And and it does, I think, depend maybe on the bands or maybe even like the lyrics, or but being a musician as well, like I when I was in a band, there have been times where I was in a not a good spot, and the only thing that, or one of the things I should say, that really helped break me out of that was playing drums. And it's funny for people out there. One of my favorite bands, longtime band I've listened to, is Under Oath from Florida, and they're going on a 20th anniversary tour for their album that came out in 2006 called Define the Great Line. Arguably one of an album that was very big, influential for me as a drummer and for my band at the time. And, for me, I can think and listen to songs and remember exactly where I was 20 years ago when I listened to it. I can remember exactly where I was, what I was doing, what I was thinking even. And going through and listening to this record, because I'm going to be going to see them in Pennsylvania in December, and I'm going to see them again here in Florida, in Tampa, at in December again. But I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, man, I went through a bad breakup, and I was playing drums, along listening to their album, and I beat the shit out of my drums. And our warehouse that we had, my old singer at the time, he worked in the lot. He had his job was like doing like creating vinyls for like jet skis, sea-doos, boats, and stuff like that. So they needed a big space, and like he could hear one day that I was just like, oh, like Nick's going to town. He like popped in and he was like, "You good?" And I had probably broken a few sticks just playing through like a 40-minute album, like just alone. Like I was just hammering my cymbals, and because like I needed to get it out of me. I needed to like free myself from this like fuckery in my head, and obviously it felt good and I got some good practice in, but it's just one of those things that to me that was a good reason to also practice as well. But nowadays, obviously, anything that I deal with and or have dealt with maybe in the last decade of stress, any sort of depression that I've been in, like going to the gym has definitely been my go-to, because I can escape there, and I don't care if the gym is packed. I will tune everything and everyone out, and it's just me staring at myself in the mirror and just listening to my music, and like not and just trying to break away whatever it is, or work through whatever is going in my mind, that whether it's maybe work, something happened. I remember getting laid off some years ago out of the blue, and if you guys have been ever laid off before, especially if you didn't see it coming, it's sort of like a WTF moment. You're like, but I was doing everything right. Like, what happened, right? It mind fucks you. Obviously dealing with loss. I had an important family member passed away 2 years ago, and it hits you. It sticks with you. And so it's tough. And having losing someone is definitely one of those things that can definitely stick with us the most. I feel like, um, and I think for guys, right, like at a funeral, it's like, well, men don't cry. It's like, I mean, you could, for those of you, you'd even hear Goodwin, as big and gravelly as he is, say, we'll watch and cover these movies, and it's like, yeah, my allergies started kicking up for some reason, and I'll say like, yeah, like my fan needed to be dusted. I haven't done my spring cleaning here in the summer, so I got to kind of catch up on that. But there's always something that we're dealing with. Could just be financial. I mean, again, there's just stress of trying to even do something positive, right? There are things that you know can stress you out, like trying to you know create a YouTube channel. I don't know, like write a book, make a movie, right? You're trying to aspire to something, and the weight, the pressure, the expectation can weigh you down, and not to say like, oh, we just don't care about it. Just shove it off. Don't listen to, anything that, you're telling yourself or other people are telling you. And it's not to disregard advice or suggestions, wisdom, but sometimes that can even add to the pressure, right? But I know I ranted a little bit, but let me catch up on some chats here. Not mad about the delay, and now I'm home. My company's all right. Good. Hi Sherry, how you doing? Rick, good to see you, buddy. We don't want to admit it, but we need help so we don't seem weak, which is dumb. Yeah, and again, it's just a simple. And like I said earlier, I try to check in with people, right? I'll message people if I have their number. Like I'll text someone, hey bro, haven't seen you online in like a week or two. You good? And not to say that like I expect people to always show up my streams or whatever. And as much as I try to jump in other people's streams and watch, if as long as I see someone, then I'm like, okay, so and so is here, cool, right? I might lurk and just kind of see people chatting, like, all right, they must be like, again, not to insinuate or assume like, oh, they must be good because they're here, but it's one of those things where like at least I know that they're alive and hopefully well, right? But I try to check with people, it's like, hey, yeah, like just for example, like I hadn't seen Rossi in a while, and I just texted him like, bro, you good? I haven't seen you in a bit. Just hopefully all is well. It's like, yeah, man, it's been working 11-hour days, starting a new job. So I'm like, hey man, totally understandable. Gotta respect the grind, but try to get some rest. Don't work too hard, right? Because you can burn yourself out. Been there before. But just something simple, a quick message like, hey man, you good? Or even if you can tell like something is off, like, Nick doesn't usually act this way. He's usually maybe a bit more conservative, or maybe, he's not irrational or whatever it happens to be, right? But maybe he seems a bit off. Hey man, you good? You okay? And at that point, it's up to us to be like, I appreciate this person reaching out, checking up, because I know there's something bothering me, whatever it is. At that point, it is up to us, much to your comment, Rick. Like, we can say, I don't want to seem weak to this person, and I feel like, from just speaking for myself, it's like, well, how is a guy that's going to host a show called Masculine Mondays, talk about masculinity, even talk about a stream like this, and then like it's like if I was something was wrong and Goodwin reaches out and be like, hey man, you all right? Like, well, I don't want to look weak to Goodwin or anyone else, right? It's like, nah, yeah, everything's good, man, but actually something is bothering me, and then it becomes more apparent, and then it's like that can maybe hurt my image or maybe just make me seem off. It's, there are consequences sometimes, right? And again, this is where I mentioned just, a few minutes ago we fall into a place and we resort to things about being trapped into despair, getting it, turning to drugs or just becoming like severe alcoholics, right? Getting in trouble, doing things that are irrational that again have maybe some bad consequences. Maybe like your mind's all screwed up and you're like, I'm just gonna go down the freeway and drive 100 miles per hour and like whatever happens, happens. It's like, well, that's obviously very dangerous and reckless. Which I may have done before, being younger, again, stupid, but there again, you realize like, hey, I could have hurt someone or hurt myself, and that's really dumb. But just a simple response like, I am dealing with this. And it doesn't have to be this long, drawn out, emotional conversation, but just something simple like, hey man, here if you want to chat, doesn't need to be overly emotional, but just the idea of being strong and open to a conversation can sometimes be the strength that we need, even while we're being silent. I feel like it's my fault. He lived 2 minutes up the road. I didn't know what he was going through. This was his 7th and successful attempt. I said I'd see him later in the week. I mean, number one, that's tough, Abe. And you never would have known that was going to happen, right? And I know your follow-up question is saying next time I'll see him at his funeral. There's a similar situation where I can, not to me, but, a family member kind of had that similar, mindset. And again, it's not to say that like there's anything wrong with that, but it's something about, and I think this is also can apply to women too, where holding on to this guilt can actually be more destructive than productive, right? I mean, it's in I think we always can kind of, I think guys can do this too, where it's like, man, I just should have been there, should have been stronger, should have been more protective. I should have just asked, I should have been in the moment, but like, yeah, I can come see you now. Right. And I think that's something where we just don't know. And I think it always boils down to, and this is something again, like being older, and it's like, how do I spend my time? How do I value my time? Because I know like, yeah, money is important, blah, blah, blah. But time is that one currency that we never get back, and where we spend our time. That's why I always say I'm not a big channel or anything like that. But I do appreciate sincerely people's time being here, because it's like you don't have to choose to support me or show up and hear me talk about this kind of stuff. And I appreciate the people like doing it out of the goodness of their heart. And for whatever it happens to be, fun moments, hilarity, people on, or myself, whatever it happens to be, right? But that same thing in mind where it's like, I'll call you back. And then you never call that person back, and then something happens, right? Freak accident. You just never know. And that, not to say we should always live in that fear of like, well, if I don't go and visit this person, if I don't call this person, if I don't do this even for myself, then something bad can happen, right? Like, it could keep us trapped, or it can bury us even further than we need to be in. But, yeah, what's up, Dragonis? How you doing, brother? Dude, and that's one thing I love so much about playing drums. It is so therapeutic. I don't play nearly as much as I want to, and I really need to get into a house, which hopefully I will early next year. And hopefully this property tax crap gets abolished here in Florida with this upcoming election. Which will, help save some money, and then hey, maybe I can get a new drum set. But no, I want to get a new electronic drum set for sure. So, love it. What's going on, girly? How you doing? My dad had that happen before. Too many people wrap up their identity with jobs. Yeah, and that's another thing that kind of sucks, right? It's like you only know this person for what they do, and that's it, right? It's like, oh, well, this person's just a doctor or a lawyer, attorney, or construction worker, or like, it's like, oh yeah, I only know so-and-so because he does cybersecurity, and that's it. And I don't know much else. Or it's like, I mean, and the same thing too. It's like, this person's only like a content creator, and that's it. Like that is their identity. There's nothing else beyond that, which is again, I think it withholds them from growing, and it just puts them in a box. It's like, well, you're like a one-stop shop. Um, I think the men don't cry mentality is BS. When my husband lost his granddad, he was stoic in front of everyone until the eulogy. No shame in that. Everyone was. Oh, dude. Yeah. I could say the same thing when I lost my Nona, my grandmother, 2 years ago. And it was like, I remember writing what I wanted to say and being fine with it, even like rehearsing it just to see if it sounded good. And it was, yeah, there's definitely allergies, but again, like we are human at the end of the day, right? Um, Reminds me of Robert Jordan's description of male madness in his Wheel of Time novels. God, I need to read them at some point. That's one of those sagas that I've never read, and I'm glad that the show is over because from what I heard that those seasons, I did watch the first season, but I heard they were just terrible. So I tried to keep together my mom's funeral. I had a good cry at the evening of the day she died, though. This was 7 years ago. I think, I guess losing family members is tough because it's not to say, and this is no like disregard for any one of like the tiering of family members, right? I was like, are you sad you lost your cousin? Yes. How deep did it affect you, as opposed to like your mom, your dad? God forbid you lose like a brother or sister that's older or younger, right? An aunt, uncle, right? Grandparents. I mean, I think it maybe depends like on age as well, like, and maybe how close you were, and I feel like it's great that families are tight knit and close. And the only, there's a real problem about that, is when time runs out, which, is inevitable. And it's like they say, there are two things that are guaranteed in life: death and taxes. Though taxes should be abolished, so then you could only say that there is one thing guaranteed in life, and that is death itself. But people assume I'm fine because I broadcast every day, but there's days I'm definitely not fine. People really ask, and I agree, Rick. There's definitely days where, and just being fully transparent, like there's definitely been days. I mean, there was definitely a time, even before I started streaming on my channel, and I was kind of guesting on other people's channels, right? And I was just kind of joining YouTube, where, oh man, I was not okay. I definitely had dark days, and it was very tough, and there were only a few things that really kept me going. Um, it was the good word, of course. As much as it's like, yeah, well, can't wait to see heaven. Don't think it's time yet, right? I'm still alive. Obviously made a choice to still be here. And I do believe that there's still a purpose, and there's more still to do on this earth. Going to the gym helped, and family helped, and I do think there were times where I had a lot of bad days, and then would jump on a stream. Maybe I was guesting on like Gooch's channel or like Nyats or whatever, and and had to put on a different face. But it also made me glad I was there, because it was distracting. It made me think about something else other than like what I dealt with that day, and obviously just, again, seeing people that, people who are watching the chat now, like that, I recognize and have been there for, a couple of years now, whatever it's been. It's definitely a moment where I agree, Rick. Like, we might see that, or people might see like, oh yeah, things are good, right? But are things actually good though? And it's sort of like whether we keep up the energy or appearance. That obviously is something where, again, like I agree with what Jaconis is saying. Like, you good is a guy code for, hey bro, I'm here if you want to talk to, someone to talk to. Exactly, and it's it's definitely bro code. Yo, what's up, Boosh? How you doing, brother? Which is why I always ask like how people are doing in chat. Like, are you just and again, not just like people don't have to be public about it in chat. I respect people's privacy. Um, but I do. Again, just shout out to A for being open about that. Really, um, uh, just the idea of someone there to support you is everything. I love it. I 100%. And I feel like if you're in a relationship, you're married, right? Even if you have kids, like um sometimes we can hide that from our kids, our husband or wife, brother, sister, right? Mom or dad. And it's sometimes weird where even at that point, men can be reluctant to say a damn thing to their spouse. Obviously, they're not going to tell their kids if they're younger. Um, Maybe if they're older and their kid is older, their son or daughter is a bit older, then they would maybe understand. Um, but sometimes it can be someone that is outside of the inner circle, right? Maybe it's a best friend that just knows or is like, hey, bro, you good? And it's a moment where you could be like, man, actually, no. And it's like, oh, what's up? Change your mind. And at that point, like, well, just dealing with this, blah, 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 like, whatever it is. And it's like, just tell your wife that or so and so, whatever name you want to throw in the pool. No, it's like, oh, hey man, you'll get through it. Whatever the conversation ends up being, right? But obviously it's, and we've talked about this before, Masculine Mondays, where sometimes there are things that guys go through that we really can't go to our wives about it because it is the strength thing. Like, again, you don't want to seem weak, and not to say that like, for men crying, right? There are very rare things that might make a man cry. Maybe he gets insanely hurt at that point. Or the loss always sucks. Maybe it could be your pet dog, right? I know that's always a big one for a lot of people, men, women, and kids, right? Or loss of a loved one, best friend, something like that, right? Outside of that, there's very rare things that men will openly cry about. Again, just speaking at a eulogy, and it's normal, right? It's like we're not meant to be Terminators. We're not meant to be these robots in a meat bag here. It'd be like saying, "Oh yeah, this guy is super strong and buff and blah 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 in the gym, and he's 7 feet tall. And he's just a giant." Surely he doesn't cry. There's surely nothing would make him emotional. It's like, but you don't know that, right? Maybe his wife passes away, and there's a picture of him, shedding a tear, right? It's like, well, at that point, he's human, because there are feelings involved. There are things that are probably being kept within that's involved. But Blair, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? Good to see you. I appreciate that. Another said it too. I know that in the ape world, masculinity is typified by not only being dominant but also being caring for the tribe. That's where I feel I failed, and I understand why you may think that or even feel that, Abe. And I definitely feel like it's something that in a group of friends that I once had, again, until things got super political and people literally just stopped being friends with one another. That was also very stupid. But, I feel like, friends that I have, outside of YouTube I try to be like that, and it's like one of my best friends, who lives on the second floor of my apartment. Ironically, he went through, and I guess is still going through a tough time. Is in a valley in a matter of sense, right? He's just not in a good spot where just when it's like the saying goes, when it rains, it pours, right? And I don't want to say like things happen in threes because sometimes It's just one bad thing that happens, or sometimes it's 4 to 5 bad things that just add up. But point being is that he was stuck in this valley, and I'm like, hey man, it's just a season. You'll get through it. And again, I'll try to say some things, and obviously, like, religion helps. And I'm not the type of person or like religious person that um will beat someone over the head with like Bible verses or whatever it is. Like, I'm not pushy in that sense. Um, but I am open to it, right? And but there's one time I'm like, hey man, let's go hang out. And then I just said, hey, look, I know something's wrong. What's up? You good? Like, 'cause I know you're not, but hey, what's up? Let's go get a drink. And then at that point, it's like, hey man, like, I need some money. Can you toss me some money? I'm like, yeah, how much you need? Cool. I'll Apple Pay you right now. Right. And it's like, dude, I'll pay you back. I'm like, I don't care, dude. This isn't about me getting money back, whatever. It's money. If I were to die tomorrow, I'd be, it'd be like, it kind of sucks at that point that I didn't get to send you some money, but, but just understanding where he was and what he was dealing with, and just because there were different things that were adding up, and just a lot of things that happen in life. You could say it's things that are normal, right? With with women or financial problems, jobs, etc. I mean, we all know this economy sucks ass. And last thing we want to be doing is spending $1,500 on a steam machine that's overpriced because of inflation and parts and greed. But I agree, Jacob. I had people in our community here on YouTube be more supportive than actual family. And small rant to this. And again, this is just me showing more appreciation. Like, I don't say I was ousted, but it was brought to my attention that, hey Nick, I know you're trying to, do the YouTube thing, and I know, YouTube's a grind, and you're sure trying to get to 1,000 subs and blah blah blah, and you know, but you're not hanging out with a lot of people outside. And I'm like, well, I have a very serious job that requires a lot of attention. YouTube ain't easy, but also I try to spend a lot of time with family, number one. But it was sort of like you want me to hang out with you guys, which again, I've been making time for that. But conversely, hey, when's the last time you caught a stream of mine? I don't know, actually. You got your YouTube notification turned on? Think so. What was the last stream I did? Oh, I don't know. They'll name something. I was like, yeah, that was 7 months ago. That was last year. It was 2025. No. So you want me to go spend time and gallivant with you, which I have no problem doing, because I love hanging out with my friends. I do. But when it comes to supporting people or even spending time with me, and I get it, this is kind of two-dimensional, right? Me speaking to you and me reading your guys' chats. But it's kind of crazy, though, that you guys support me more than some people that I have in real life that are closer, literally closer to me in vicinity. And so, I can be blunt. I can be confrontational. I choose not to be sometimes. But that was a moment where I'm like, okay, listen, crack my fingers here. Okay, let me call a spade, because you're going to try and put me on notice. I'm going to do the same damn thing. And I was like, oh, well, we'll try to support you more. I'm like, and asking for much, but something simple as that helps, and I will be getting into a nice electronic drum set. Exactly. Pads are great. So, I got teary at my brother's funeral. I cried like crazy in my father's hospital room when he went, but held together at the funeral. And dude, yeah, exactly, Boosh. Like, there's moments where, it'll hit us in one time and it won't on the other, So it's like, again, I'll just say, like, my grandma's eulogy, or celebration of life, I think, as we called it. Speaking was not easy. And then this past weekend, we scattered her ashes next to where my grandfather was buried, and you know, it was I was definitely there's a lot of things that were going through my head, but you know, I held it together, you know, and not to say I didn't feel anything because I definitely did, but you know, I wasn't, you know, uh, sobbing like I was at the eulogy, but I had a two near death experiences within 18 months. Holy crap! The way that my dad's voice trembled when he gave his speech at my wedding shattered my heart. I don't have kids, and I can't imagine what he endured. Yeah, yeah, that's powerful though, Beans. Um, when I thought I was going to die, I went, well, it's been a good run. I didn't cry or beg, just accepted this what it was. Yeah, yeah, dude. I mean, I honestly, I had a near death experience, but there's definitely one moment when I was younger that I thought like, oh shit, this might be it. And it's crazy how time just has this weird effect on you at that moment. Um, Sometimes they don't want to hear it. Know who you can trust. Yeah, 100%. I think it. You know, trust is a big factor too in who we speak with. Or who like it's like who we're strong with and who we're silent with too, right? Like I definitely think there's people out here and like in the YouTube community that I would have no problem speaking to over others, you know. And it's just a trust thing, a bond thing, which I know I it happens even outside of and just in you know in person people that we know, right? I think we can accept our own deaths with certain dignity, but we can't with others. Yeah, I think when we talk about or like, and there's definitely been times where I've thought about what it means for me to not exist here anymore, right? Like my memory will live on, whatever, right? Um, you know, I don't have any kids, but hopefully one day soon, perhaps, perchance, per maybe. But, um, but even with friends, you know, family members, it's like, you know, what does it mean to pass on, right? Um, how will I feel when it happens? And again, I don't know. Hopefully, it's peaceful. Hopefully, it's on my own terms, right? Um, if it's just out of old age, and I'm not in pain, and if I'm in a hospital bed, and it's you know, I think the thing that'll probably be tough. It's like if you accept what's happening because you know it's inevitable, and if it's time, it's time. And you've been holding on as long as you possibly can. Um, it's almost like the people around you that you feel bad for. And again, not to quote Harry Potter, but it's in the Deathly Hollows part two, when Harry kind of dies, um, and he sees Dumbledore, and Dumbledore says, "Do not pity the dead, Harry. Pity the living." And I appreciate that. I don't know if that's in the book. I'll eventually read that book and see if it's true to the actual lore itself. But I think it's a good line regardless because I think that's something that is very true, right? If again, hopefully the people that are passing on are not in pain, but you again, not to get too far into but what we believe, but you got to believe that at least to me, I believe that well, if someone passes on, they're in a better place here, especially with maybe how the world is, and if it's just not a good spot, a good place to be in, that maybe they're no longer suffering, right? Um, and I feel like at that point, the people that are left alive, we are dealing with sorrow. We're grieving. There's this lingering pain that we have. There's thoughts in our mind that we're holding on to, right? And you know, it's sort of like I thought about it earlier today, where you know when men take their own lives, right? I had a guy in high school. I think we were maybe juniors or seniors. I want to say seniors, and uh, it's kind of one of the kid that we his name was Steve. I forget his last name, but he kind of looked like Butthead from Beavis and Butthead. No, sorry. He looked like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead. Sorry. Um, uh, but his dad hanged himself, and I didn't know what that meant at the time. And in again being 17 years old and talking to him and be like, "Oh man, that sucks. I'm so sorry." But like, he didn't show up to school for a while, and then he started hanging out, and you know, I don't remember exactly how he acted, but I even at the time I knew something wasn't right, and I'm like, well, damn, the guy just lost his father. Like that sucks. But it made me also think about like people like Robin Williams, who eh, one of the greatest comics I think of all time. Comedians, and the fact that he even someone as funny and seemingly I don't know, hopeful, but just was always uplifting to people in some way, whether it was through his humor or movies or whatever, right? I mean, again, ironic. We haven't yet talked about it on Masculine Mondays, but it'll be a good conversation when we talk about Goodwill Hunting. Because you think about oh god, why am I forgetting his name? Professor, what is his name? I totally forgot his name. But he's saying it's not your fault, right? Like holding on to stuff, holding on to things that for Will, it just you see the release that he has in that movie to someone who just tried to be real with him as a man, and especially the story he talks about his wife. It's like you can make fun of a lot of things, but don't you dare talk about my wife like that, or I will beat the shit out of you, right? Like, kind of like the pastor who beat the shit out of that 20-year-old kid today, or was it yesterday, who threatened his wife and grandkids and kids. Like, like I'm gonna give you some good old scriptures and the wrath of God via fists, right? But facts, man. Most folks are very dismissive whenever men show their weakness or open up. Yeah. All right, Boosh. I'll catch you later, brother. But yeah, Proctor, what's up, dude? How you doing, man? It's unfortunate though, right? And I think even maybe I've had this backfire in the past for me. It's like you decide to open up to a woman and say what you're thinking or feeling, and it just backfires. You're like, well, you know what? Never doing this again because now I don't trust to talk to you. But yeah. I'm actually glad I live alone at the moment. I normally do around 7 streams on various channels on Friday, Saturdays, but I've canceled my appearances in all of them. Dude, and I don't blame you, Abe, and I hope you, number one, I appreciate you being here even after saying that. But I don't blame you. It's like I think for us as streamers, whether we're hosting our own content or we're joining others to support them and to guest and everything like that, like this kind of goes with with that issue that Davina said earlier, where like we get tied up like this is our identity, like, but who are if we take the time off, like we feel bad. I feel bad. I took 2 days off of streaming. It's like the world will continue. It's okay because you have to go through something. You're dealing with something that is bigger than this, right? Assuming that the streams will be there next week, that's fine, right? Assuming the same people are still there, which hopefully they are. But in the moment, if you can address what's happening, right? If you can, if someone is actually there to listen to what you're saying, then that means something. And it's again, if there's an opportunity, take it. Otherwise, who knows? Maybe you miss that opportunity to talk to someone and something else happens, right? God forbid. But if you want to get theological about it, Jesus Christ cried when one of his good friends died. If the man we are called to strive and be like shed some tears during his life, then so can we. Yeah, there's the shortest Bible verse. Jesus wept. I mean, I definitely feel like that great reference, Rabdad, and I 100% agree. Like if we're supposed to um aspire to become like Christ and walk the straight and narrow, which is hard regardless, dealing with stuff like that shouldn't be like, no, no, you're a guy, so and so just passed away. I better not see a tear coming from those eyes. It's like, again, I'm not a machine. Like I can't just remove the tear ducts from my eyes and have some surgery. Although I'm wondering if that's happened. That's kind of weird if it's ever happened. Um, right, and spontaneous fits of anguish probably doesn't make a good look. Yeah, it's like understanding that. Hey man, if you need to take some time away, totally understand it. Like we'll miss you, but we'll be here for you when you get back. Right, we support you, and it's like I think people think that like, well, I'll support you if you're here, but also supporting people when they're not there, and that is saying like, hey, look, you don't have to like hey, like that's why people get like bereavement time with work. It's like in some ways that is a way of your job supporting you. Like, hey, look, we understand you need to take time off, but we'll be here for you, when you get back, right? Hopefully pull some some tomfoolery on you and like, oh, welcome back. We had a layoff though, so it's like that. I mean, look, and that's happened, where it's like, oh, yeah, you deal with something bad, and then you come back. And I had a friend of mine actually; she had taken time off to get married. Ironically, something great. She comes back to work, gets laid off. I'm like, well, that was a unfortunate up and down. But yeah, like go have fun being married instead. And yes, Davina, I like your response to Abe. It's a sign of maturity to know that YouTube and online are the least of life's problems, right? And yes, love it. I agree. It's so tiring being strong all the time, and there are moments the emotions break through. And this can happen again to men and women. And I think it's like you think, well, I have a good wife, or like a good mom that's strong and able and is there and does a lot for the family or whatever, the relationship, household, on top of what like, the husband is hopefully doing as well. But like, even for guys, I think if they're number one, if they're providing, right, if they're bringing in all the income, or even if they're not, it's more so there's this expectation, and just dealing with all of life's problems, and sometimes it's like we can think that there's might be a lot of small things that just happen, right? But when small things start piling up, and then you look and you're like, well, that's one big pile of shit. At some point, yeah, that's going to smell, or it's like you think about like a pot of water on a stove, right? Once that pot of water starts filling up more and boiling, it's going to overflow, or like your pipes are going to start bursting because the screws can't hold it together anymore, and the pipe burst. It's like like I'm going to blow a gasket. Like there's just so much happening right now that I am legit I'm going to blow a gasket, and I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know if I'm going to yell at people, and it's like, I like using the phrase, okay, well, I'm not a punching bag, number one. You could be upset or you could rant in my vicinity, just don't directly aim it right at me. And again, it's like, well, no, I'll be a punching bag sometimes, and it's like, I don't mind. I will be strong for you, right? If that be the case. But yeah, sometimes there's just too much. I agree, Levin. You're like, this expectation of just being strong, it's like now I'm gonna go completely silent. The internet's done a number of on relationships in general. The last person to say we should hang out was my next door neighbor, and he never followed through. That was like 3 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, the internet's an interesting place. And that's why I feel like being online a lot, like there needs to be, and obviously like there should be for everyone. Like even like if this is your job, right? You have to have a healthy relationship with yourself. And even like, again, even speaking for whatever job you do, this goes back to before, if like your identity is work, what are you outside of that? Right. Like I have my career, my day job, right? But outside of that, what am I? Who is Nick outside of that? Well, yes, I do YouTube as a secondary job, or just, I mean, I don't even consider this a job. It's more so a hobby I enjoy. Um, but outside of that, it's like, well, I'm a family man. You know, I have my other hobbies, right? I'm a nerd, I'm a gamer. I go to the gym, play drums, musician, hockey, right? Um, but if all you are is like, I just spend my time solely online and that's it. I mean, what are you on outside of that? Like, does that kind of pin you in a certain area of the world that you're known for, but you're also lost as in the rest of your identity? Like, does that mean anything? Um, does that mean if you fall out of that, are you like not like outside of your comfort zone? Does that make you spool out of control? Like, are you uncomfortable at that point? Um, does that mean that you don't have anyone to trust outside of the internet? I mean, hopefully not. But balance is everything. It's like sometimes I don't, I like the fact that um, this weekend I was at the beach and, it was with family. And so it was nice not trying to think about, oh, what's going on X, and I maybe pop in here and there, right? Like last Friday, I had a few people reach out to me, text me, message me on Discord, like even with Niat, he wanted me to jump on his Minority Report stream, and because Leon, our friend Leon, was having an interesting take on that Toy Story was a better trilogy than Lord of the Rings, which I'm like, well, it's no longer a trilogy. Um, but so I was kind of late to respond. And I'm like, I told Nia, I'm like, hey man, I did bring my laptop just in case. But if I need to jump on a stream, then I'll jump on a stream. But instead I just, you know, hopped on my phone and sent a super chat, right? Just for, instead. And he was like, nah, dude, don't worry about it. But it was kind of nice not really thinking about much about what's happening online, because it's like you kind of need that escape, that break from time to time. Again, maybe it's just you're kind of clearing some things out in your mind, or just enjoying what's in front of you, enjoying the moment. But um, kind of accept that nothing's going to come together unless I do all the legwork. Yeah, yeah. When I die, I want to die peacefully in my sleep, with my grandfather not screaming in terror like the passengers in his car. Yeah, yeah. A tough death is not fun, because you think about the whatever happened. I mean, like, just again, not to be morbid or anything like that, but you think about this earthquake that just happened in Venezuela. Like, people were enjoying their life, and then that's it, no more. I mean, obviously, natural disasters are disasters, right? Um, Life is for the living. You'll have an eternity to contemplate death. I've had quite a few near-death experiences. I've also died once. Had the whole experience. I've had nowhere, started breathing up again. I woke up. Maybe think of I have a purpose after all. Damn, that's crazy though. No, no idea what it is still is though. I mean, look, sometimes we find out what our purpose is on a daily basis. And I think sometimes we get lost in like thinking that we need to be president or something like that. It's like sometimes having a purpose is just maybe being a good husband, good father, right? World needs good fathers out there, good friend even, you know. And and I think there are small things that we take for granted and overlook for what our purpose is. You know, it's like maybe there's someone that you recognize now, Abe, that you you can be there for, right? They might not live 2 minutes up the road. Maybe they live an hour away, but there's still a way that you can be there for them. Never really thought about my funeral until I had cancer about a decade ago. Got out clean, but that was a long couple weeks. That really put life into perspective. Number one, glad you beat cancer, brother. That's a son of a bitch of a thing to deal with, But I understand that, having people in my life that have had cancer and beaten it, thankfully, I feel like the genuinely kind people that laugh the loudest and try to bring joy to those around them tend to be the ones suffering in silence. Yeah, exactly. Like Robin Williams. And yes, that might be a stream where like Cam might get a little quiet. You know what I'm saying? We might have to turn off our cameras there one or two times. But we'll see though. But I think it's gonna be a great it's gonna be a good moment. And yeah, I think Robin Williams was the best performance in Good Will Hunting. Absolutely great performance. And yeah, you think about Chester Bennington, Chris Cornell, Jason David Frank, like, the Green Ranger, like, which again, hearing about all of them committing suicide, I was just like, yeah, blew my mind because they always spoke about never doing it, to not do it, to seek help. And it's like, take your own advice. And they didn't. And it's just kind of nuts. Gooch, what's up, dude? Was talking about you earlier, brother. Hope you're doing well, man. But yeah, Gooch is another great guy and friend that has talked about this as well, and again, like, it's something that I think more guys than not have probably thought about it. And thankfully a lot of us have not gone down that route. Because I was looking at a statistic from I think it was NAMI, NAMI, from a website that was talking about how I think it's men are 4 times more likely to take their life than women. And you could even just again, a 4-to-1 ratio is kind of interesting. I think I have a website up here. NAMI.org. But it was talking about men's health month. But yeah, essentially they were confirming it or describing men's mental health as a silent crisis, and note that men are nearly 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women. I think there were almost 49,000 self-deletes in 2024. But millions actually either thought about it, made plans, or attempted it. And it's like, if you think about the people that thought about it and went through with it, made plans and executed it, or the ones that attempted and were, I didn't want to use the word successful, but actually it actually happened. It wasn't an attempt. It was an actual occurrence. 49,000 escalates to millions real quick. And then you think about what that does to the culture, what that does to future lives, future families, future kids that need fathers, especially young boys that need fathers. The whole generations to come would be fucked. Absolutely screwed. What's up, Gusto? Without tests, there could be no testimony. Very, very true. Keep your tear ducts flowing. I've seen how big people's eyes swell up when they get clogged, nasty stuff. Yeah, man. Like, sometimes it's like, it's just best to let it out. Like, just, you understand it. Yo, Cole Hauser, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man? Because we only get 3 months of summer here. I won't sacrifice the nice weather for streaming. I have my business to run at the gym every day. So you need to smell the roses each day. 100%. It's like there are times where, like, I mean, obviously, I would say I spend a lot of time inside, but just going outside, going to the pool, right? Just taking a weekend, go to the beach. It's just, you know, it's you just need it. Yeah, take some time and smell the roses. Um, uh, Leon got clipped by a badger over the Toy Story take. He won't ever live that down. You know what? I'm glad a badger did that because I wasn't there to clip it. So I'm glad someone else did because I was like, oh, I'm like, he had to have been trolling or something along those lines. There's no way he ever would have said that. But I was like, no, I had multiple, I had Rossi, I had Vex, I had Niat, I had a couple other people in Discord mentioned like, bro, you got to get in here. I was like, is this seriously happening right now? Like, I'm on vacation or anything like that, but I will take the time to call this out. But uh life is such much more fragile than most of us want to accept. The same neighbor lost his brother recently. He was just going on a morning wrong, got hit by a car, and that was it. Dude, it's and it's stuff like that that we're just being normal. It's like going for a drive, but you never know, right? Like, and it's tough to always just kind of so we always should kind of be aware, especially at night, because you never know what happens. But I mean, you think about people that drive and and get in car accidents, and it sucks. And not that I appreciate rubbernecking when you want to say, well, what happened to that? But it's like, man, like you just every time I see a car accident, I'm like, I hope that person's alive. And then whoever's responsible gets sued and whatever, but um but yeah, there's just freak accidents that happen, and it sucks, and I think as you get that's something like as you get older, you do realize that life is fragile, life is very short, and we can't constantly live in fear because that's just going to put us, even into a bigger, spiral in our minds. But when it happens, right? What do we do as guys? Like, how does that person respond to it? It sucks. I knew someone that self-deleted. It's sad that we couldn't save it until it was too late. Yeah, man. I was hospitalized 2 years ago. Oh shit. Organs, tumors, mostly from drinking, went bad for test for a couple of months later, all gone. Jeez, man. Well, hey, look, I'm glad you're still here with us. And I'm glad all that's over and done with, because man, that is some nasty stuff. Well, love to hear that, Gooch. Can't wait till you're back, brother. Hope all is well with you and the misses. And congratulations as well. But yeah, man, can't wait to see you back online, man. So get a bicycle. It's a time machine. Yeah, like, I would not own a bicycle here in Florida, knowing the way that people drive here. But it was in a couple bad wrecks. Yeah, I could say that was probably one of the times where I saw the life flash before my eyes when I was in a bad accident. God, was this back in 2009? And again, it was I can remember it clear as day. So I know most of the time, like, these things happen, we usually remember all the details. But I was on R95. My band had gone through a practice because we were getting ready for I think a mini tour kicking off the next weekend, and I'm in my SUV, and I'm in the left lane, and this part of the highway had like 3 lanes and then an HOV lane, and it's probably like 9:30 at night. It rained earlier, so the roads were, a little wet, not super soaked or anything like that, but wet. And I was on the phone with my buddy, And I see this car in the right lanes, white Honda Civic, and it started to swerve and caught my eye because I'm like, it was just me and this Honda Civic in front of me, maybe, I don't know, 50 feet or so. And I just had this feeling. I'm like, yo, Cedric, hold on one second, man. Like, this car's acting real weird. And he's like, oh, you good, bro? I'm like, hang on. And I thought the car was going to drive into a ditch, but instead it made a sharp left turn and was literally coming at me as I'm driving forward. And I'm like, I'm about to get T-boned at like 70 miles per hour here. And I'm like, I can't, again, just quickly thinking, I can't stop in time. Roads are wet. So I tried to speed up. And on my SUV, I had like a stainless steel grill, like bumper grill, like for towing or ramming, in the front and in the back. Oddly enough, the car actually missed, this Honda Civic actually missed my car in a matter of speaking, and it hit the stainless steel bumper, literally right on the corner, just boop. But at that velocity, physics, I spun around. I was like, I'm just spinning for days. It felt like an eternity. And I'm just, and my buddy on the phone was like, Nick, are you okay? I could hear him in the phone yelling that I had him on speakerphone. And I remember, like, when it finally came to, I picked the phone. I was like, I'm alive. I gotta call you back, bro. And I'm facing oncoming traffic, so I've spun around, enough so that I'm facing oncoming traffic. My steering wheel is like this, so like the straight part in the middle, like my horn was like this. And when I was trying to go drive forward, I'm like, oh, my drivetrain is screwed up right now, probably from spinning and me trying to not flip over. Thankfully, I guess my SUV had all-wheel drive. I don't know if that really helped, but in my mind it did. But I was furious. I drove down the side where like the concrete median was by the HOV lane, and again, thank God there was no traffic coming either, because it all would have hit us. It would have been a massive pileup at that point. And cars finally came past us and were like honking the horn and stuff like that. No one stopped to pull over to check if we were okay. But I was out of my car because I was furious, and I'm like, I'm about to yell at this dude and give him a piece of my mind. Because I was 25 at the time and hot-headed. And this little tiny girl gets out of the SUV, or sorry, out of the Honda Civic. I'm like, oh my God, it's this short ass girl. I'd have been 16 years old, maybe 17. I'm just like, you probably can't, just got your license or something like that. And I'm like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. And I'm like, what were you doing? And this guy's like, I just lost control of my car, and called the cops. And then ironically, she admitted that she was trying to throw a piece of paper out of her car. So she's trying to litter, dropped her phone, tried to reach down to her phone, kept swerving. And then when she grabbed her phone, she realized that, oh God, she's going to fall into the ditch, and then turned left and then saw my car and then hit me. And again, I always thought, and we were kind of trying to do this like, I don't know, geometry, if you will. And I'm like, if I didn't have the bumper on the back of my car, stainless steel like grill guardrail, because I sped up to try and avoid being hit, she might have just gone full straight on past my car and go straight into that concrete median. And God knows what would have happened after that. She might have gone straight through her windshield, died on impact, because Honda Civics, so as we know, are not heavy cars. And so I always thought maybe that happened for a reason. I'll live, but as a result, I will have herniated and bulging discs in my neck for the rest of my life. And then I was like, oh, you could go for surgery. And I'm like, I ain't going for surgery. Hell no, not at 25. I'll just deal with the neck aches at that point. Try to correct them over time. But it's weird. Like, I saw my life flash before my eyes. I was pissed. But then realized maybe this girl actually is alive because she hit me. And but the car wasn't very, heavily damaged either. Hers was more fucked up because, she hit like in the stainless steel wheel there. But, I don't want to say it made me think about things at that point in time because I think I was still young enough where I'm like, I'll live forever. It's fine. Right. I'm invincible. But it definitely made me think like, man, like it could have been way worse. But yeah, definitely a close one. Car accidents are just crazy, man. Especially for just, again, like riding a bike, because you never know what's going to happen. Or again, like maybe you're just trying to go for a clear your mind, and you're like, I'm dealing with something. I'm going to go for a drive, peaceful drive. Maybe again, have a nice open air, and then something happens to you, right? Maybe you hit something. Maybe it's an animal, a deer's crossing the damn street or something like that, and you hit it, But yeah, maintain your distance and awareness if you can. Drive defensively. Yeah, that's kind of how I always try to do that. And hopefully she learned to keep her phone still while she was driving. Yeah, it was funny because even that the state trooper was like kind of giving her an earful, and which I was like grateful for. So I'm like, yeah, she needs to hear this. And then when he was like, he came to me and asked if I was okay. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, this is obviously kind of crazy, but I was like, I'll see how I feel in the morning. Right. And called my chiropractor up and I was like, hey, so was it a car accident last night? And yeah, definitely woke up, neck all sore. And so then, I need to go x-rays and all that kind of crap. But yeah, you have to have eyes all around your head when you drive. 100%. I mean, I don't know if it's just from playing video games, like racing games, or you're just like, like you're going fast in games, or you're just trying to be aware of what's happening and have like fast reactions, which again, different from actually driving a car. But I'm always constantly looking at my mirrors and just being aware, and just so you can maybe tell how cars are driving on the road. But exactly, I have cat-like reflexes driving at 200 miles per hour in Forza Horizon. It's like, yeah, like how many times have I would play like Need for Speed, being chased by cops, and doing like $150 or 200, and like they'll try to throw a roadblock up and I somehow dodge it, right, and not get caught or whatever. Or like, yeah, like when you had Forza games that like, oh, you take car damage, or like Gran Turismo, and then you take car damage and you got to pay to repair it. It's like, well, now I'm going to be more responsible and take care of these things so I don't have to deal with it, because that's exactly how it would occur in real life. But yeah, it's again, just to kind of see what Cole Hauser's comment earlier, it just sucks. You think you're going to do something and routine, and it happens, and that's why I lift weights at the gym and I don't go for runs, guys. Sorry, it's a bad joke. Like Arnold said, you want to do cardio, just lift weights faster. That's all I can say. But people be speeding down this road too. I'm like, Like I ran across the street to go to 7-Eleven. I'm like, I better not get hit by a car because that would be terrible. Um, but yeah, I think just all in all, talking about again the silence and strength of men and masculinity, and you know, I don't ever think we should be ruled by fear or emotions or think because if we are emotional to something, we have a moment or we decide to talk to someone that we're unstable, right? And I think too, like men are often regarded as the individual to weather the storm, right? Like if something tragic is happening, it's like maybe your wife is having a reaction, kind of panicking, if you will, right? The man, the husband, should be the one that is the calm and collected one. And to the damn fly interrupted my monologue. Damn it. Sorry. Um, but is the man is supposed to be the one that's calm and collected and to try to piece things to get together if there's any sort of chaos happening, right? But I think too, like we need to be on men need to be honest with themselves because I don't think we can really master how we feel if we refuse to acknowledge what we're actually dealing with in our mind. You know, we can't heal if we keep pretending that whatever we're dealing with doesn't exist. It definitely exists. We don't acknowledge it though, with other people or within ourselves. And I think that's where guys and men get trapped, right? Like these people we mentioned earlier, Chris Cornell, um, Jason David Frank, Robin Williams, right? Like they probably thought, I'll never be in this position. And sure enough, they end up in this position. And I don't think that they had a lack of masculinity in that they were weak. It's just that how do they respond when that weakness shows up? You know, what did they do? And again, I'm not entirely sure what they went through aside from what we could read about online and everything like that. But, you know, everyone will react to something differently, right? As we've been saying, we'll react differently with the loss of life, friends, family, pets, going through a divorce. Maybe you went bankrupt, lost a house, foreclosed, right? Evicted, lost your job, got sick, ended up in the hospital, right? The number of things that can drive a person crazy or into the depths of not being okay. And I do think that, you know, we as men try to always be protectors and that we try to again be responsible and hold ourselves accountable. But I also think that we try to have this resilience to these things, right? Like we'll just keep dealing with it. We'll keep weathering the storm, you know, but how long can this foundation withstand these things without needing some help, right? And I think too, depending on how severe it is, if we try to again not so much find an escape, but try to do something, as we've said, like you know maybe it's you're doing something you like to do, like go do your hobby, right? Or go you know chat with someone, go to the gym, whatever it happens to be. If you're doing all those things and that's still not enough, then you absolutely need to be talking to someone. You know, if it's not your wife, your you know maybe it's your brother, maybe it is your son if you're old enough. Maybe it's a best friend. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's your pastor. Maybe it's you know, um, it can't be your dog, but but you know what I'm saying. Maybe it's yourself. Maybe it's religion at that point too, right? Um, but I definitely think that there's enough that we have to deal with, and life does not get any easier. And I think for what we try to deal with and think about masculinity in particular, um, having healthy masculinity can actually protect us and protect our minds, because that's what does give us, this good structure. It is finding out what gives us purpose and what we do with it and what sort of discipline we can define ourselves to withhold, what sort of responsibility again that we can hold ourselves are to. Do we have a brotherhood, right? It could be like, being online, we can have a brotherhood, or maybe you have friends, outside of online that you spend time with. Maybe you're in the armed forces, maybe you're part of maybe you're a firefighter or law enforcement, whatever, right? That you have a brotherhood that um you can turn to. But I do think there's always a reason for us to continue enduring and to continue to living on, right? I do think that there's always something that we can look to find a reason to not self delete ourselves. Um, Yo, what's up, Zaxy? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. And yeah, everyone does need a support system and people that understand them. Because right, and I like, who knows? Maybe Robin Williams didn't have that. Maybe people just thought, you'll be okay. You're a funny guy. Don't worry about it. Um, and yeah, um, body, body dementia or like body dysmorphia. It's a weird thing. A weird thing because people just get obsessed with it, and or it is an actual like disease that is like, I don't know how you come out of it really, but um uh I've never I'm just speaking for myself here, but in the event that maybe life's tough and you're like, yeah, I know, I used to be in better shape, and now I'm not, and now I hate myself, I hate the way I look, hate the way I feel. It's like, but you can change it. It's not too late. It's really not. Now the methods you take to become better, well, there's healthier and safer routes. So I hope people do that. But it's like people that are in like their 20s and have like LBD or dysmorphia, and it's like, what's happening here? Like, please talk to someone. People might be surprised to learn how many men who are doing well now have been so close to losing everything or going the wrong direction. 100%, Zax. You know, it is tough. And again, I could say, obviously I never thought about taking my own life. But again, there have been times where I definitely felt like nothing is going right. Everything is going wrong. And who can I turn to? Right. And again, thankfully I do have I do have a support system. Uh, because yeah, like there's definitely things that have happened that I just, it's like, man, I don't really care anymore. And that's the scariest part, is when you just stop caring. And you're like, if I die, I die. Whatever. I don't care. It's like, but you should care. And I agree, love it. You have to let someone in. Yeah, like this, like weakness is not a plague or a disease that, because if the result is, well, if you just try to be silent and strong and tough and you don't expose yourself at all, well, that results in your demise, then it ain't worth it. If anything, at that point, people might think, oh, you're weak to open up. But just talking to someone and that one conversation could make all the difference in the world. It might take more than one conversation, but if you establish that communication and start building a talking point, again, that support, whether it's a community or already with someone with like an individual you already know, you already have a relationship with, it might make it easier, or it might make it also maybe expedite the process. But sometimes those things take time, right? It's like, I'm dealing with some problems, but I talked to someone and now I'm good. like a week later. Might not happen that fast. It might take months or years to go through something, to get over something, you know? Um, what's up, bully dog? Men's mental health is a funny thing. It really is. It is such an interesting topic. And as we said at the start of the stream, the media never talks about it. Organizations, companies never talk about it. You know, and especially in this month, we'll talk about everything else. Juneteenth, the alphabet people. What about men? What about men's mental health? I would say Madonna is exhibiting some kind of body dysmorphia. Yeah, she's in denial of her age. Robert Williams did have that bad fibromyalgia. Also, nobody laughed unless you snorted. Yeah, and again, like when there's some sort of disease or like some sort of illness that we're dealing with too, right? Like it either could say, "Oh, well, that's serious," or if it's just unknown, it's like, "Oh, well, you'll be fine." What sort of effect is it having on you? It's like, well, you don't know because you don't have it, or maybe you do. But yeah, like LBD can lead to Parkinson's. Um, but yeah, if it's like who knows if that was a conversation that was had again, patient doctor privilege. What if he just knew that he was going to get exponentially worse and that he didn't want to put his family through it and he didn't want to deal with it and thought, I don't want to deal with it for another hour, let alone another week, another month, another year, another decade of my friends, my family, fans, followers, and people that even hate me see me go through this, and it sucks to hear it because it's like, well, if we always, and again, I've always, loved Robin Williams, but and it sucks to hear that, right? Much like saying Jason David Frank, like, Tommy was so pivotal when he showed up on Power Rangers and just threw things out of order, and started, challenging Tommy for the alpha male spot, right? And trying to take Kimberly as his girl, like and just, I met him once at MegaCon years ago, and he was just a cool dude. And I was just like, hey man, I was a kid, like, I had the Dragon Zord, toy and, blah, blah, blah. And, he's just like, oh, that's, yeah, man, appreciate you being a fan. And, I think I have a picture somewhere or an old computer hard drive with him. Maybe even Facebook, but my Facebook's gone. So, but, normalized dudes calling out, calling each other who want to self-delete as being gay, cure the problem overnight. Yeah, self-deleting is a gay thing to do. Like, gay. Yeah, don't do that. Don't self-delete. And conquering your body dysmorphia by recognizing that your brain is torturing you. I can speak on this first in hand. You're the only one that can shut down the voices that hate you down and tell them to shut up. Yeah, it's true, Beans, and I agree. And not to say that, like, I've ever been overweight or anything like that, but I've always tried to remind myself, because I always think about pumping iron and what Arnold said, because if Arnold was like, I'm not in the perfect shape, I like to change things. If anything, I'm going to critique how my bicep is, and how my lat is, and what do I need to do more of. And it's like, the body is like a clay sculpture. You need to do things differently. You need to start working out, doing the different exercises and the heavier weights and the more reps and the more sets. And if I'm hearing Arnold, who again is undoubtedly the king of bodybuilding, especially coming from the golden era, if he's saying this, and I guarantee you, he never had any body dysmorphia. It was just more so, how can I aspire to be better? How can I aspire to win again and again and again? Not just be better than myself, but also my competition. But I was like, why should I be worried about what Nick looks like in the mirror when I'm working out consistently and I'm eating well and I'm training hard? It's like, yeah, cool. I'm more vascular now. Oh, cool. Body fat percentage is lower now. Cool. Like, even now being older, I'm not gonna I'm not working out as much as I used to. I mean, obviously I still go to try to go to the gym 5 days a week, but sometimes it's 2 days a week. Sometimes it's 3. Sometimes I eat some snacks and I shouldn't, but I'm just like, I also just try to enjoy myself. Sometimes I might, go out and have a drink, like my birthday week or whatever it was. Legit, I probably gained a solid 6 pounds from eating and drinking and just not giving a shit. I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy the time I'm sharing with my bros, my friends, my family. And we're just going to have fun. I'm going to eat some macaroons. We're going to go to every single place in Epcot around the damn world. I'm going to try this. I'm going to drink this. I'm going to eat that. I don't care. Whatever. In the coming weeks, I'll try to be more in a caloric deficit and try to lose some pounds. It's fine. I'm not going to look at myself in the mirror and be like, Nick, you're such a fat slob. Look at you. Look at you. You're ugly sack of shit. Look at you. You're fat now. You don't even have a 6-pack anymore. God, you got moobs. You got you're flapping here. I mean, I'm not flapping, but I'm what I'm saying? Like, I'm not having those thoughts in my mind just for gorging out for a week. Wow, no, I'm enjoying the moment. You know what? You know what it was? I had 0 mental issues at that time. Granted, I'm back in the gym. I'm back in the gym this week, going early in the mornings, which I haven't done in a while. And obviously, I was up late last night, so I didn't get much sleep. But working on self-improving myself to be in a better regimen. I bet if we took a poll on how many people thoughts of self-deleting the percentage. Oh, dude, I agree, Rick. And was the poll that was done from Nami. I think I could probably post it here in the chat for anyone that we probably can't. I'll just post it if people want to go to it or whatever. But that was the link I was looking at and got the numbers from, and I'm like, yeah. There's only 48,000, almost 49,000 in 2024 that actually went through with it. But in the millions, people that planned, failed, or thought about it. And it's like, I guarantee you, if everyone on YouTube, and it was completely anonymous, right? But it was either, have you ever thought about it? Yes or no. And I wouldn't have to say like recently. Maybe that would be a second question. Maybe like, have you thought about it? Yes or no? And then maybe in the last 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, even, I guarantee you it'd be higher than we thought it would. By the way, a disability debt debit is no form of a support system. It cannot be done. Yeah, I agree. And yes, I agree. A lot of gaslight going on, which is just nuts. Again, you're disrespecting. It was sort of like what was it 2024 when Biden tried to hijack Easter? Burn in hell. But no, like, yeah, like the one day that fathers get to have with their kids, and you try to take that away from them, but you'll give a whole month to the people that you're trying to hijack it for. I don't want to go on a rage, but there are some profanities that are going through my head that I cannot say on YouTube. Yeah, and a series of articles about fathers, none of them written by fathers. That is the uh, that is the icing on the cake. When you have people that are trying to write about something when they're not, it'd be like saying, I'm going to write something, an article about mothers on Mother's Day when I am in fact not a mother, nor will I ever be, because my chromosomes are male. And people would be like, oh, why is he writing an article about this? The View would have a fucking field day. Moments of weakness are going to permanently stain you as a person. Opening up to the right people can help expedite the process of going through. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you knew some people, like, again, whether it is here on YouTube or someone you have in real and like in person in life, you know who you can go to. It's like, I know I can go to Nick for this, and like I've never ever turned down someone like "Ah, pause. I want to talk about this. You know, if I'm going to open my mouth and respond, I'm going to try to do as best as a job as I possibly can. I did. I think it was 2016. It was in the teens somewhere. I have to go back and check. 2017? Damn. I don't remember what it was. I'll have to go back and check. And yes, statistically speaking, I believe boobs and the comforting of boobs helps saves lives, especially when falling asleep. Seeing boobs also works too. Funny how men calling each other gay can fix a problem. I know, right? Not sure how to apply this to the bigger picture, but growing up, my dad would just fix things. Now I have to think about how insurance is going to screw me if permits are pulled. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's something that your dad probably was like, it's my responsibility. I am the man of the house. I'm going to take accountability and fix things. Um, and I feel like majority of dads were like that, are like that, should be like that. But yeah, when you see things, I would say like as a kid, when you see like how people, fathers, men handle certain situations, if it was never sort of like fully disclosed on how those things get done, it could kind of leave you in like a state of wonder. Um, but hopefully it's something serious, Brett. Um, you know, uh, he also did an interesting intro about the mustache man. Yes. Heck, you're not even allowed to mow your grass or have a lawn in the first place without being guilt tripped about the environment. Yeah, and you got the HOA, riding your tail sometimes. It's stupid. Um, Fixing things to sound therapeutic though. Well, yeah, I mean it's like, you know, I know there's things that I don't know how to fix. So it's sort of like, figuring out how to do it yourself. Like, okay, I broke a weed whacker. How do I fix it? How does it work? Or, lawnmower broke. Oh crap. Okay. Well, especially as a kid, don't know how to fix that. So, I remember one time, I forget how young I was, but it's part of my responsibilities to do yard work. And one of the lawnmowers or the lawnmower that we had broke. And so I'm thinking, yeah, I got off easy. The lawnmower broke. I have to finish. It's hot as hell outside on a Saturday afternoon, right? And nope. The result was, here's how we're going to fix it, and then it's back to it. But also, the lawn is going to be grow more, and thus that requires more work because I'm going to bag the grass. That's fun. Oh, dude, yeah. New York Times is trash. Absolutely, absolutely terrible. I cannot stand New York Times. What's up, Rebel Rose? How you doing, girly? And yeah, there's no way in heck a dad is going to ask permission to fix things around the house. I mean, it's it's definitely one of those situations where it's just expected, right? Or it's like, oh my god, this broke, fix it. Yeah, I got it. Well, I'll add it to the list, right? I mean, that's kind of like how I imagine it being whenever I finally move into a house. It's gonna be like, well, might have a huge lawn, huge yard, a huge yard, so I just got to maintain it, right? I'm not gonna expect anyone else to do it. I'm not gonna hire someone to do it. I mean, I could, but again, if I'm not in the camp of being able to afford to pay someone some inflated price to mow my damn yard, maybe there's like a teenager on the neighborhood. It's like, hey, you want to earn a couple bucks? I'll pay you to do it. Here's how I want to do it. If you mess it up, you ain't getting the job anymore, and I will go back to doing it, which I'll figure out how to do it in my time. But hey, that's just part of owning a house, right? It's like, oh well, door broke, garage door broke. Oh shit, I granted there's things I probably don't know how to deal with, like electricians. I definitely need one of those. Plumbing, I know a little about plumbing, but beyond the basics of like how to fix your toilet or some shit like that, then no. Like I've worked construction, helping my uncle, my dad with stuff, and that was just part of the thing where like, you know, there was I did something stupid, and I think it was a sophomore in high school, and during spring break I was grounded for the whole damn week, and which during the week was kind of fine because it was like, well, come home from school, I'll still go to like my hockey games or hockey practice, but nothing after that. And then like the weekends, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything, couldn't see my friends or whatever. Um, and instead it was like, here's how to build a driveway, lay bricks down, literally. Here's how to, wheelbarrowing bricks to make a new driveway, or how to resod an entire yard and level it out. Also, how to input your own sprinkler system. Those were things that were bestowed upon me as a young man, teenager, because this is just how you do things and why you got to do it. Just like Kowalski says, you just do it. Might be punishment, but it's also, again, things you remember. Used to have a great coworker. Whenever we knew the day was going to be shitty, he just turned to me and asked, "You wake up today's stick?" Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's like another week, ready to get shafted. It's like Mondays, love them or hate them. You can watch an electrician or plumber. They're usually happy to explain what they're doing to someone who's interested. Yeah, I think that's sort of like, I think trade workers appreciate that. It's like, hey, what are you doing? How's that work? Okay, so you ask questions. It's like they not that you're trying to distract them, but you're kind of understanding, you know, how the processes work. So if something happens again, you know what to look, you know how to react, what to do, if it's something bad or not, not nearly as bad as it's not serious, right? Um, but it's nice because I think they appreciate it as well. Like, oh, this person's not just paying me, and like they're gonna go, do whatever else. I mean, obviously they understand too, like, and like, well, the job's and the job's done. But if you're not aware of what's happening, and then it's like, oh, I paid this guy to do something for me, and now he didn't do it, so now shit's still broken, and now I'm being more upset because I have to pay more money. They have to come back out there, but our septic backed up into our basement. Oh, that sucks. Husband stepped the fuck up and took care of it all. I wanted to help, but couldn't stand the smell. Yeah. Listen, your husband definitely was in some deep shit. but came out on top. I hope you made him a good meal, Beans. I see. I see what you've been cooking. I poured him a nice bourbon, nice glass of bourbon too. I do most of my own plumbing and electrical. Nice, but I'm pretty sure I'm living the rest of my life in the house I'm in. I swear thinking about how people live in a home they plan on selling. Yeah, that's something that's always interesting too, with like the care that people put into their homes. You know, like it's like saying, well, the house is so outdated. They just don't care. They kind of let it go without trying to just even kind of keep it in shape, right? And it just kind of falls apart, which kind of sucks because I get it. They're like, well, I'm just trying to sell it, whatever. It's fine. Let the person that's coming in here spend extra money to do whatever the hell they needs to do. It's like, but don't you have any sense of like pride to kind of maintain it while you're still there? I mean, I guess people are different. They don't give a shit, but keep listening with the topic Vice City playlist and MW3. Hell yeah, bully. Appreciate you, man. Are you playing with Cole Hauser by chance? Or no? He's on been playing a lot of Modern Warfare. Made his favorite chicken broccoli Alfredo with garlic bread and yes, the largest glass of bourbon and refills. God, yeah. I was like, I would need to smell something so flavorful, and because I'm pretty sure being around that much shit, it's not just you smell it, but you start to taste it after a while, and that just, oh, yeah, I could not imagine. I think it was a house I rented out from at a septic tank, and it backed up, and of course it goes like out in like the lawn from where it was, so it, not as bad, but like when you go outside, you can just smell the shit until it gets cleaned up. It's like, oh God. Vice City playlist is the best. Been thinking about getting a Vice City stories list as well for listening. Nice. Yeah, exactly. You need a biohazard suit at that point. It's like hard to think about that kind of stuff though. It's like situations you never hope you're in, but if you are in, like how does the man step up into it, right? So I think I was gonna say the other thing I wrote down as like a question was like, when we have these thoughts as men, do we think that no one cares? Or do we think that someone might actually care? And then I'm not supposed to suffer through this alone. And then thinking that they are alone, maybe by chance, but just asking one person or asking a simple question could actually like expand or create a brotherhood that they never had before, that they never received. And so I think sometimes a man has to be active and like intentionally think about these things, like, and maybe it comes with practice over time. Like, was it a dark spot? I reached out and that helped. So I know in the event that if it ever happens again, I can reach out to that same person or maybe someone else. Maybe it depends on the situation. Maybe you have people that that might be better with certain things, and that's totally fine as well, right? Because I think one of the biggest things of like affirmation is when you talk to someone and that person knows what you're actually going through, or maybe like that they've gone through this before, and so like it's like, yeah, man, I've been there too. I know what this feels like, literally, and it's like, don't disappear, don't ghost me, like feel free to text me, hit me up, give me a call, right? Because it obviously can help save a life, or moments, and I don't think men would ever have this idea of thinking that it's like we're just trying to be attention seeking or anything like that. We're not just trying to doing this emotional dump onto people. No pun intended with the shit we were just talking about, but And I think one thing that I've tried to do in the past is think that I can fix this alone. The thing I'm going through, I can do it myself. I could be Mr. Fix It to my own situation, this own scenario, this circumstance. When in fact, I have also learned that no, I cannot. Sometimes yes. And I think it's like me and other men out there try to be noble, and it's actually pride, right? And pride is holding us back. Pride is kind of the thing to our downfall. And again, like most guys like to be like Mr. Fix It. Like it's like think about Home Improvement, right? Tim the Toolman Taylor. Try to fix everything. And what a great show that is, especially in that era. It's like here's a man who worked for a living, was in a good spot, had 3 boys, loving wife. Jill didn't have to work. I think she did later on, because I think when he retires and the show gets handed down to Al Borland, they moved because Jill got this opportunity. And so he made a sacrifice. And obviously he made the money so they could literally uproot their entire house and move, right? But just think about how many times he would try to fix things and experience things. And, he would, again, I think Tim Taylor, now that I think about it, it's actually a great reference, because he would always talk to Wilson. Oh, howdy ho, neighbor-o. Like, right? Like he always would go to Wilson and talk to Wilson about situations, things he's been in himself, or like, talking about his wife or the kids, right? And that matters. Like he knew that he could talk to another guy, talk to Wilson about it. And Wilson in the show was, a bit of a strange and particular guy, but he had a lot of wisdom to impart. So sometimes life should be like, pop quiz, bitch. I know, absolutely. It's the job of a woman to be his peace and his safe place. I agree. One that he can laugh, relax, or cry around without judgment. If he can be childish around his lady, she's doing it right. Women need men. 100%. I definitely agree, Beans. I think you nailed it, honestly. But it's true that modern life can be very isolating in a way that didn't happen in old communities. I also agree to that. Yep. Call in help when you need it. Loved Home Improvement. And I was still a kid when that show was on. Yeah, I was too. And I think it was back in 2024. I think it first went on. They put the whole thing on Netflix, and I think I watched it all. I kind of binged it, which was kind of a nostalgic thing for me. But yes, Tim Allen did go to jail before Home Improvement, and I don't think I read all of that. I read pieces of it, but it's also important to recognize when other people need help and follow up to keep them going. Yeah, it's not just like okay, I reached out once to you, and that's good enough, right? Like I offered help. I don't need to do it again. It's like we got to keep it up, right? It doesn't have to be every day. Be like, hey, you good, bro? Yeah, this is going on, Well, hey, look, we can talk again, hit me up tomorrow, whatever. Okay. And maybe the conversations are a little bit more regular, and then maybe they start to drop off. It's like, you good? But again, if you're already in touch with someone that you have like a close relationship with, and it's like you'd probably talk with them in a decent amount, but sometimes it's not always about what's actually bothering them. It could be other things. So it's almost like, not to make things awkward, but like, you good, man? How's it going with this? Yeah, better. Good. And you don't need to, okay, so tell me why it's good, or tell me what's different, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like, no, it's just thumbs up. Okay. But hey, listen, if you're lying to me, don't. Straight up now, tell me, are we good or not? Or are you good or not? Well, not quite. Okay, well now you can actually be open about it and say, whatever it is, fill in the gap, and then keep it going. Yeah, Tim Allen got caught with some nose candy. He did. He did. But he's also our Santa Claus too. Steak, taters, beans. Yeah. Yo, what's up, Beard Codes? How you doing, brother? Nothing wrong with asking for another perspective, right? I totally agree. You know, we've been kind of talking about it's a guy should never feel, you know, weak, ashamed, embarrassed. You know, it's good to read about comedians. They usually do come from the sad clown school. I agree. Reacting to sadness and very dark life events with humor, like we all should. Yeah, and I think that's what's the saying? Laughter is the best medicine, and I definitely think that's true. Like you could be, I think I forget when it was, but um, you know, I remember breaking up with a chick once, and you know, I was just down about it, and finding enough to do in the meantime, right? It's like, oh, I'll go hang out with my friends, you know, maybe go play a show, play drums, blah, blah, blah. But it's the moments where it's like, well, now I'm by myself. Now I feel alone. You know, maybe I'll text someone, maybe I'll play a game. Yeah, sometimes I'll just like would throw on a funny movie, you know, or watch like, I don't know, I think like at the time, like maybe like Family Guy or whatever. So just, you just look for like funny movies, comedy, whatever it happens to be that just is more uplifting than anything. Yo, what's up, Cajun Corey? How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well, dude. Exactly. You don't have to get up all in their personal business if you don't know them like that. But just being there when you can make it all the difference in the world. Yep, 100%. You're not asking for their life story. It'd be like, and the person wouldn't expect you to dump everything on their plate because sometimes it's like, whoa. Well, number one, I appreciate you opening up to me, brother. Sorry to hear that you're going through all this. Not going to quite say TMI, but that was a lot more than I thought you'd be kind of revealing, you know? And it's sort of like where, not to say that you should try to hold anything back, but I think we as guys try to not be so revealing or you know, we're not going to, I don't know. I don't assume all women do this, but it's like, I mean, they just kind of like let the floodgates open. I don't think guys usually do that. Bill Burr had some great stand up comedy and what being a man is like, dealing with emotions. And when it comes to how men are expected to be the strong and silent type when breaking down in private, dude, I think I remember what show that was from Bill Burr. Um, and I think Bill Burr has gotten a little, I don't want to say woke, but for the longest time, I thought he was like super based. And then I feel like because he's married to his wife's black, he started to like sound more like a Hollywood Democrat, if you will. And, but in his 2019 stand up that I remember I was in Boston at the time in 2019. My buddy was on tour and we went up to go see him and we were at an Airbnb and it was late. It was probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. Um, no, not the Red Rocks one. That one was good, but um, it was the hold on, Paper Tiger, Bill Burr, Paper Tiger. That shit had us rolling in laughter. We had a couple beers. Um, And I think we even got like McDonald's because it was like the only thing that was open late, and uh, which I think conveniently was like the last time I think I've ever had McDonald's. But we were dying laughing. His comedy was so funny, like in tears, um, laughing. Oh God, I don't remember all the jokes, but that was a great special. That might be my favorite special from him. I probably can't play it on here on even though like this is, let's see. Yeah, just a little teaser there. It's like he says after 5 years of being married, there's one thing that's abundantly clear. It's that we're always working on me. Yeah, he definitely I think after that 2019 special, something changed. I was like, where was this? What happened to the Bill Burr I saw? Um, in Redhead Roofing in July. Yes. Bill Burr's balls in his wife's purse. They are definitely now. Yes. And I agree. Like he was one of the funniest stand-up comics coming up, and went backwards. Absolutely went backwards. It's very important to recognize where you can help and how. Most folks just need to feel seen and connected. So just hanging out and having fun does the trick. Right. And that's and I agree. Like that's something like with my buddy that was in a tough time. I'm like, bro, just let's come down. We'll watch a movie, watch a show or whatever, even if it ends up sucking. And, we'll have like, we'll have some whiskey sours, right? Boom. We'll just make a drink, chill out. You want to talk about whatever it is. Cool. You know, um, or like I remember there was one time, had some people over, and I was like, I need to go, we ordered food for pickup. And then I was like, again, knowing that my friend was in a tough spot, I'm like, hey, want to ride with me? Yeah, sure. And I remember just in the car, I'm like, you good? I was like, I don't know, man. I'm like, hey, man, I'm all ears. What you got? And conversation starts going, and it's just like, well, here's my advice, my wisdom. But those are the moments. Like it's just, yeah, recognizing how you can help, and in those moments, right? 5 to 6 years, Burr was basically dude, and that's exactly right. And post COVID, just like fucked his head up, man. Probably his wife's fault. um, his bit about having to give up his dog hits hard. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see here. Uh, let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to listen to this trailer, but there's like music that's playing afterwards, and I'm just like, dude, come on, I don't want to listen to this. Hold on. What's a good trailer for this? Let's see if this is has any music. Why do they play music over a trailer for a comic? I don't want to hear music. I just want to hear them talk. Anyway, if you that's one comic special I'll go back and watch. I think Bill Burr is an instructive cautionary tale. Don't sell out, go raging into the night, even if you're old and tired. I would agree to that. There is something. His story is interesting because when you can see where he was coming up as a comedian, and oh, like, this guy's a raging Bostonian, right? Says what's on his mind. He's blunt, doesn't really say sorry. It is what it is. And kind of ruthless in his jokes, which I'm like, that's the beauty of comedy, right? And then starts to fall down. It's like, wait, whoa, Bill, this is what's happening to your comedy here. Like, you're being less funny, and yeah, never lose your fire. Like, he can still be passionate about it, but like his jokes just do not land anymore. Yes, I think he joked about abortion, and I think, was it the WNBA as well? That one was decent, but it wasn't. I think Paper Tigers is just so much better. Because yeah, he definitely seemed like in Paper Tigers, he's a crazed ginger with nothing to lose at all. Hmm. So you get to see Bill Burr live. Nice, pre-wife. One of the greatest shows you've been to. How tall is he? Hold on. I feel like he's like maybe 6 feet. Oh, he's 5. Well, Google says he's 5'10". Celebrity heights say 5'9.75". Okay. IMDb says 5'10". But God, that's awesome. I'm low key jealous. Has anyone else ever watched King of Staten Island? Yes. Sorry. Yeah, it's not a man's job to watch the NBA, which the NBA, the WNBA is such a weird thing. As a ginger, I used to respect him. Now shame. he insults the ginger community. Sorry, Beans. Yeah, I figured he looked to be like 6 feet. His Philly rant is a classic. Yes. Nobody watches NBA. Yeah, I can't say I've never watched a game. The only thing I've seen is the immense hatred towards Caitlin Clark. And I think, who was it? Sophie Cunningham, her teammate or whatever. Who's actually like fairly attractive. I think she's tall. She's not out of shape by any means. I'm not saying she's got like the, biggest hooters or ass or whatever it is, but like, I think she's done like modeling photos. I'm like, yeah, that's artistic. But yeah, this stuff I was commenting on I saw it pop up, I think earlier this morning or whatever. Maybe it was late last night, I remember. And then I saw Cole Hauser make a comment on it on X, which I replied to, because I was like, man, again, if you're trying to make your sport known, I don't really watch basketball as it is. I stopped watching basketball really when Kobe retired, because I thought the game will never be the same at that point. And it's not. It's gotten worse. I can't stand it. And I can't stand some of the people that run it either. And LeBron is not the GOAT. Sorry, Michael Jordan is. But when you're trying to say and trying to make your sport known, and you're trying to entice it to men even too, like, or other women for that matter, and you have someone who could arguably be one of the best all-time female athletes in the game, and you're going to allow other women, dare I say, of another shade of epidermis, different shade of melanin, stomp on her, punch her in the face, throat, repeatedly harass her, and act like it's nothing. And the refereeing is just dog shit in basketball, period. But I'm like, that seems worse in the WNBA than it does in the NBA. And then, it's funny because it's like you've got Sophie Cunningham coming in as the enforcer, which I'm like, I was gonna make a joke by saying like Sophie Cunningham is more of a protector, an enforcer than some men are. So, what's up, Creamage? My epidermis is showing. How embarrassing! Oh no! I decided to keep my shirt on for the stream, but I didn't want too much epidermis showing, you know. But yeah, it's weird with NBA and WNBA, like, because I think, again, to get back to more of the masculinity here, you know, in the enforcer role in hockey, you had, like, again, Wayne Gretzky, as obviously the literal goat of the sport. And then when anyone ever tried to screw with Wayne Gretzky, you had, who was it, Marty McSorley, and oh, I'm blanking on the guy's name. I need to Google it. Yeah, Dave Semenko and Marty McSorley on the Edmonton Oilers. They're basically like Wayne Gretzky's bodyguards, right? If you touched or did something illegal to, or dare you tried to injure Wayne Gretzky, you had two crazy enforcers that would light you up. Absolutely. Like, just fight you like that. Oh, you're going to try and trip the goat? The gloves are coming off, and I'm going to beat your ass right here, right now. I wish you could do that in the NBA, but, you know, it's why hockey's a better sport. I wanted a female MMA fighter just so I don't have to be the one who deals with drunken deos at the bar all the time. Hey, could you imagine? You're just like Gina Carano's husband, or like Ronda Rousey's husband, and like someone's being an asshole, and you go over once and you're like, guys, hey, listen, like, you guys are being rude, like, respectfully, like, tone it down. Like, oh, fuck you, buddy. Like, go pound stand, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay. Still rambunctious. And then your wife goes over, your girlfriend. She happens to be an MMA fighter. Maybe famous. Maybe they don't know because they don't watch MMA. And they try to do something and then presumably get their ass kicked. It's, it reminds me of, again, hockey people. But I don't know, again, how many people here in the chat watch hockey. But Biz Nasty, he's one of the analysts on TBS for hockey. And Zax is still listening. Then he knows who Biz is. Biz is hilarious. He's Canadian. Not a super talented player, but he knows, the game, and has a podcast that's pretty popular in the hockey world called Spittin' Chicklets. Chicklets are teeth, for those of you who don't know the sport. But this happened, I want to say, last year, and maybe you guys might have seen or heard of it, but he was at it was in Arizona, and there were like 5 or 6 guys, or maybe it was 6 or 7 guys, that ended up going into this nice bar or restaurant, whatever it was. And let's see here. It was in Scottsdale, Arizona. Paul Bissonette is his actual name. Yeah, I was in 2024 at Houston's. That's right, Houston's restaurant in Scottsdale, Arizona. Tried to like tell the guys to be like, hey, chill out, like you're being rude to like the staff and everything. And like, I guess all these guys were like heavily intoxicated, and harassing the manager, because they got cut off from being served more alcohol, and then Biz stepped in to protect the employees. Masculine as hell for that. And then they all proceeded to fight him, and he said he got punched once or twice, but he essentially beat all of them up, and then went to like the CVS or something like that. And the cops came and they all got arrested. And I mean, that was just hilarious. The fact that he ended up being put in this predicament here, but like this, I think there's I could probably play this video, right? Hang on. Oh, it's the actual. Yeah, they kept following him down the street. A bunch of people did. That's right. Let's see if I can find it. Hang on. Anyway, what's it with New Yorkers and having weirdly scientific height measurements? Last streamer I talked to, they said it was 5'11" and a half, and I was like, huh? Yeah, that's weird. New York humor, maybe related to Jewish comedy. I'm 5'11" and a half. We soon happens when players get away with repeated violence. Caitlin's going to end up seriously injured. And that's one thing, like, again, not that I'm a WNBA fan or anything like that, but I like sports, and I think sports is something that can bring people together, and it's something that people can rally around. And I don't want to see someone get hurt because of, I mean, I'm like, isn't this kind of like, I don't want to say racism, but she's definitely become a victim. Davina, I've not seen it yet, and I've heard from multiple people that I need to go see it. Blue Car Loser was like, you need to go see it. Leon was like, you need to go see it. I'm like, I will. Like, I'm gonna hopefully see it this weekend. There are two movies I want to see: Jackass and The Furious. I might watch Supergirl. I have the tab opened. About it. The amount of attention I'm probably going to give Supergirl to is I'm probably going to play a game and have it in my other monitor, and I'll watch and listen that way. So that way, like, I'm not going to lose my mind while I watch it, and I'll at least be playing and doing something that I like, with like a video game at that point. It's like now I'm going to maintain my sanity. I think a Vancouver Canucks, dude, fucking Todd Bertuzzi. That was insane, Brett. Like, I think did they suspend him indefinitely? I mean, like, I'm all for big hits, right? I'm like, yeah, it's the masculine thing to do, right? Like, you as a player, you protect your players, right? Players protect their goalie. It's like it's a big no. You don't go after my goalie, because if you do, gloves are coming off. We're gonna fight, right? It was sort of like in the game between Canada and USA. Like, there were like 3 fights in the first like minute of the game, right? And because Canada disrespected our anthem, and now hockey is our sport. Sorry, Zax. But like, I am not a fan of cheap shots. I do not like cheap shots in hockey, because God forbid it's against someone who is talented, and you remove that talent from the game, and that maliciousness outweighs the sport, the talent, the reason people watch those players. Well, now this player's injured. Now our team sucks because this guy is a scumbag and decided to, board this guy, illegally check this guy. Like, oh, speaking of Vancouver, Brett. Oh, you want to talk about a bastard I hated? Rafi fucking Torres. Piece of literal shit. Repeat offender. What was it? I think one of the last that I think he went his contract and like no team signed him after that. But I think one of the last big hits he had was on Marian Hossa in the playoffs. I want to say it was because Chicago Blackhawks, my team. Boom. But I think he got suspended like 25 games because his offense list just kept piling up. Like, oh, it was 1 game, 3 games, 6, 10, whatever the actual numbers were. But oh my God, I was like, get this player out of the league. He can't score. You're not even protecting anyone. You're just maliciously going after the star players just to take them out of the damn game. I don't know much about hockey, but there are occupational hazards. A couple of players got seriously injured. Some died. Yes, that has happened. It's been very rare. There are a couple of people that they've had their throats cut, and they didn't die. But I mean, hockey is dangerous. But again, it's the hockey players are a different breed when it comes to the physicality. Now, I mean, again, I even just kind of with the topic at hand of the stream title, right? Like topic, there was a player, his name is Bobby Ryan, played for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, then got traded to the Ottawa Senators. Good player, struggled to deal with stuff, had mental issues, turned to drinking, became an alcoholic, fucked up his life, had to step away from the game. But again, he took the time to seek help. And there's been a couple other players. I think recently, I think it was maybe at the start of the season, there's a guy, God, what was his first name? Yeah, Brandon Montour, called him Monty. He was on the Florida Panthers when they won the Stanley Cup 2 years ago. But he got traded because that's what happens. It's hard to keep people like that. But he had stepped away in the beginning of the year, took a leave of absence because his brother passed away. And, I think that's what it was. Yeah, why did Bron? Yeah. His older brother died in a multi-year battle with ALS. I forgot how long he was out, but I do remember seeing him talk about it in an interview. And I mean, it's like he loves the game of hockey. He's a Stanley Cup champion, probably has a good support system around that. But it's like understanding, as tough as a nails as that guy is, and he's a great defenseman as he is, as much love and support as he has, he recognizes that I just lost my older brother. I'm not okay. The game I love, the game I will take pucks for, I will take hits for, is not filling this void. And I'm not going to be good at my job if I don't take time off to get straight. And so, like, you got to give him props. It sucks to hear that, but, and yes, you in the NHL, it's an option. I think when you play internationally in the IIHF, like in the world, when they play like in the Olympics or whatever, they make you wear a neck guard. Dude, yeah, I cannot wait to see it, honestly. So, Yeah, you don't boo the national anthem. Um, like, and I'm glad to see, just as a, as a national thing, I'm glad to see, like, in the World Cup, like, the entire American team, boom, hands over hearts, everyone's singing it, dude, praying after the games. It's like, I'm not gonna say I'll be back, but it's like, it's I I'm glad to see it come from soccer. Like, I'm like, at least one sport is doing it like that, you know. Um, and yeah, Bertuzzi, that was absolutely criminal. Yeah, there has to be sportsmanship, and goons just ruined the game. Dude, Torres is just, fuck that guy. That's why, like, in other, like, even like in college, like, you can't goon it up because you get suspended and it kind of sucks. Or even like in rec leagues, you can't do it either. CTE is such a conundrum in pro sports. It's a contact sport, no matter how much the league tries to pivot it to a skill based game. And yes, been led to watch that, but there's limits. I agree. Like, it's tough to tell. And when you have players that have had concussions and you just don't know, like, what they're going through, as much as they try to, like, hide it. Like, I can just think right off the top of my head, just because I'm a fan of these teams. Tua Tagovailoa, or better as we know him here in Florida, Tua turned the ball over. I swear, he is one hit away from retiring from the NFL or football, period. Like, he was not the same after taking those hits in Miami. And it sucks when great players get injured. Because if you think about Sidney Crosby, Pittsburgh Penguins, arguably one of the greatest players that ever played the game, obviously a Hall of Famer. He could have. I remember doing the math one time recently, because he might not hit the 2,000 career point total, because he got a couple concussions that took him out for a while. So he missed time. I'm like, obviously he came back and has been good, but yeah, it just sucks to see that, because you don't know what it does to someone, And I think, as another example, Jonathan Taze, he actually just retired from hockey. Again, Blackhawks captain, won 3 Stanley Cups, won a gold medal for Canada in 2010. He took a leave of absence from the game in the league for, I forget how many years. It was probably three years, maybe. I want to say maybe 4, maybe not. It was maybe 3. But he came back, played one more season for Winnipeg, and then retired. But, like, and hockey is always very secretive about what sort of injuries they have. And for Jonathan Taze, as an example, they were like, upper body injury, and you don't know what it could be. It could be your arm, it could be your rib, it could be your orbital bone, your face, concussion. They'll just go, yeah. They might say, oh, it's concussion, but that's it. What about, any lasting effects? What's happening, right? And exactly, like, those types of injuries can lead to major problems, and it's like, I'd love to see the player come back and play, which I'm glad that he did, but he didn't have, like, a really great season. It was probably like, might not get better, being away for 3 years. I at least was glad I made it. It's like, he aspired to come back. Maybe people doubted him. Maybe he doubted himself. Again, maybe he was in a situation where, like, I don't know. He didn't, like, and obviously not all the sports players always post what they're doing online and social media, but I think for the sake of where I saw him in different parts of the world, is probably trying to, like, just live life a bit. Maybe he was having some mental issues. Don't know whatever else was happening, but maybe he doubted himself and was like, I need to make a comeback. I need to get back to where I was. I need to get back to doing the thing I love to do, if I can do it. And if I can do it, perfect. Maybe I'll give myself one more season, talk to my family, and then retire. You know, he already probably knows he's going to be a Hall of Famer, so no sweat there. But yeah, like that's another thing too, just to kind of even go with like people like or like men suffering in silence. Like you're a hockey player, you're tough as nails, but you got hit in the head too many times, and now you ain't thinking straight. What's that doing to you? What sort of effects is that having years later? How many groin injuries are actually ripped testicles? I would suspect there's probably a decent amount, more so than goalies than anything. Um, I pulled my groin once, and the feeling was like electricity just going straight down my leg. And granted, and thankfully I didn't have to have surgery or anything like that, and it wasn't like a high grade strain, but I kept trying to play, and I usually play offense. I usually play like left wing or right wing, so I'm on like the side of the ice. And I got to the bench, and I'm like, boys, I might have pulled my groin. They're like, oh shit, for real? I'm like, yep. I can't really straighten my leg out, and I don't have much movement. And so they're like, oh, are you gonna keep playing? And I'm like, I might need to drop back on defense, but don't expect too much mobility out of me. So I played the rest of the game, and it was kind of just like it was my right leg, so I was kind of shoving off a lot with my left leg from the ice. And I remember telling my goalie, he was an older guy, his name was Andy. I'm like, Andy, I pulled my groin, bro. So I'm gonna hang back here. I will try to not get in your way, but I'm not gonna be blocking pucks, and I can't really skate anymore. And I went to the doctor the next day, and doctor was like, "Yeah, it's a low grade. I mean, well, it wasn't a high grade. I think he said like it was a grade like 2 or 3. I forget. But it's like, yeah, so you can't play hockey for like a month, and I'm like, well, now I'm beside myself. That sucks. Um, I went to like I think I missed 4 weeks of hockey. Um, and I went to I think 1 or 2 games, but it sucked just going to the game and not. I want to be out there so bad. I want to help my team, play with my buddies, But it's like a mental thing that happens. So yeah, it's a non-zero number for sure. Exactly, dude. Pronger was a menace, but again, Hall of Famer. It sucks that he was forced to quit. Yep. Yeah, and I think that was a mental thing. He's like, I can't do this anymore. Now he just works for the league, right? Yeah, exactly. And I think that was the right decision for his family. I think he still could have played a few more years because um, he was like 37, I think, right? How old was Chris Pronger when he retired? Oh, this is 42. Okay, that's right. He suffered his eye injury in concussion systems when he was 37. That's right. And he went LTIR. That's right. Uh and the worst injury I had. Let's see if I can show it on here. Hang on. I don't know if it's gonna reflect or not, but hold please. Um let's see if I can get a good picture of this. Hopefully it's not gonna be too reflective, but see my Lord of the Rings wallpaper. So you can see the hole in my lip here, and then it got stitched up. Let's see if I can make it so you can't see my nose. Here, hold on. There we go. Nice little gap in the lip there, and then can't really see it, but this picture was brighter. Yeah, I got a high stick in the mouth, and I was just concerned that I didn't lose any teeth. Yeah, I did heal fairly quick. I was at work the next morning, and not everyone noticed because I was talking weird. There were certain words and letters that I couldn't say, that I had trouble speaking with, but someone was like, "Oh shit, did you get in a fight?" People thought I got in a fight. And I was like, "Yeah, you should see the other guy." No. I was like, I got high stick in the mouth. Oh, how many stitches? I think it was seven stitches. 6 or 7. No pun intended. But it was a late night, and that's not even the worst hockey injury I've ever seen. One of my buddies got messed up real bad once. From a goon, no less. But yeah, there's no way to quantify pain. And yeah, it's a bit of a talent. So nothing I couldn't handle though, Davina. Later, Proctor. I'll catch you later, man. We just have to figure out a time to discuss things. But that being said, this has been a fun stream. I'm glad I was able to go live today. I just kept having to push it back and push it back. But like I said, I definitely wanted to talk about this just because, it being the month, the topic, and obviously it is important, and I think it needs to be more made aware of for the sake of the future. And obviously it definitely is I think it's not going away anytime soon. Yeah. It is hard, because I definitely think depending on how people respond to it, right, with like whatever they're going through. I'm not expecting people to open up or anything like that. You know, dude, you didn't derail it at all, man. Don't worry about it. There's definitely things that are intersected between them. So, and maybe I'll talk about a physical health stream in the future. Who knows? But is there a physical health month? I don't even know if there is. But yeah, it is tough to think about. And again, I think because the topic itself is just so unpopular, and then it's kind of paired with a month that has a much less interesting awareness. Again, give them a day. Why don't we have Mother's Month or Father's Month? I mean, other, like, okay, well, St. Patty's is one day. Okay, cool. Other ethnicities get like one day. I mean, look, like there's Black History Month. There's probably like is there a Women's Mental Awareness Month? May is recognized broadly as Women's Health Month and mental health awareness. Interesting. I don't think I knew that. And then because I think Cancer Awareness Month, right, is, well, I guess year round, but I think it was October initially for a while. Sorry, October is breast cancer. Yeah, I actually remember I would swap out my laces on my skates um for for pink laces with the bow, the little cancer ribbon on them. Also that I had family dealing with cancer too, but and then I would change it back to white laces, of course. But um yes, and Movember, no shave, no shave Movember. Not that other weird no nut. That is ridiculous. That is the most simp thing I've ever heard. Maybe I'll do a stream on that and how ridiculous that shit is. And we'll just talk about Movember instead. And I will make sure I do not shave for Movember. um, but yeah, I listen. I appreciate everyone who tuned in for this stream again. Which was earlier, but I think it just again it happened at the time it did for a reason. I appreciate everyone commenting, contributing to this topic as well, sharing personal things. I think everyone made valid points, comments. You know, I think everyone here was just in agreement of what we recognize and what we understand is problematic in this realm. So, you know, I definitely appreciate it. And you guys are amazing. I always love doing this as well. This is a great thing for me to do, just to my own psyche. Honestly, you know, I don't have to do this. It is a fun thing to do. I appreciate everyone I've met here. Made some good friends that I've you know been able to meet in person as well. You know, and even if we never meet in person, just know that I appreciate you guys very much. So, we're gonna raid our friend Niat and say what's up to the folks over on his panel, which who's over there right now? Old Man, the Timeless Wonder, Emperor Goodwin. We've got Reaper. You can understand him half the time with his Scottish accent, I think. Our roast beef friend, Canadian brown lady, Vex, and the Doolies, who are great. Love them. I've heard men are a significant portion of the population. I hope that's true. Just for the sake of obviously continuing the population of men and more babies, because we need to have more babies. But dude, thank you so much, Jax and Beans. Yeah, Brett, Davina, everyone else that's watching. You guys are great. So, and man, this topic has made me work up an appetite. I don't know what I'm gonna go get some food let's see. I do need to go grocery shopping. So I might try to find some ground beef or something like that. I don't know. It might be a tacos night. Who knows? Or maybe a quesadilla with some vaginas. And maybe a nice little bourbon or whiskey sour. Who knows? Maybe I'll take pictures and post them in my Discord. But yes, thank you guys so much. Go say hi to Niat and all them and see what they're chatting about. And Monday night, Masculine Mondays, we're talking Outlaw Josie Wales. It's the 50th anniversary. Today, it originally came out in 76. Goodwin is probably overly ecstatic about that, as well as a couple others. Gord's going to be there. I think Waylon's going to be a guest. That's obviously where his avatar comes from. The favorite drunk, not critical drinker, blue collar loser, Chris is going to be there as well. So that'll be a fun stream. I'll get that popping and stay masculine. If you're a guy out there and you need to talk to someone, just do it. I don't care if you message me and you don't, and I don't really talk to you at all that much. Just message me on X. I don't care. We're all here to help. We're in this fight together for men's health. So mental health and maybe some physical health as well. So anyway, appreciate you all, and I will catch you guys Later.